Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a new chapter of this podcast called Aldea Global. Remember, this podcast could be listened to thanks to Paula Tobón as director, Laurent Arboleda as actor, Pilar Pineda and Sebastián Yepes as scriptwriters, and Valentina Espina as a production technician. Today, after several days of drought and lot of sun, it is cold afternoon, and with rain, a pleasant climate to listen to the podcast and to reflect on the theme that brings us together. It should be noted that he has the Winter in the Pole conducted on the Twitter this past weekend. The topic that we will be presenting has to do with gender equality. It cannot be denied that it is quite controversial topic for some of the great rebellions for others, but that is a reality. The wage gap between men and women is present in the most countries of the world. Of course, in some other than in other, according to the International Organization of Labor worldwide. Women only earn 77 cents for every dollar that men earn. In addition, and to the contrary, that the caps and created more large country can be found in economically highly developed countries such as South Korea, which according to data from the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, among its member countries, Korea is the one with the largest gap above countries like Japan and the United States. To have a more realistic approach to today's topic, and as those who follow us on Twitter will know, we were asking our followers for stories. All listeners who have believed and or believe to live such a reality were sharing their stories via email, and we have selected to share today the case of that Camila 71. Camila write to us, today, January 10, 2021, surfing the internet, I come across a blog, www.kishanblogspot.com, that tells the story of how the NGO Fundamental Women was born. The blog has several articles. The one that caught my attention the most was called The Life in South Korea of an Excluded Woman, written by Kishan Hyuga. Since the article is in Korean, I am going to tell you the story in a summarized way but without omitting any relevant detail. The life in South Korea of an excluded woman was born on January 5th, 2019, on the bus that crosses the entire district of Mampong-gu, Seoul. Mr. Hyuga tells us that upon entering the vehicle, she only finds a position available next to a woman whom she describes as someone with experience, approximately 10 or 12 years older than her, looks very mature, and also carries with her a box overflowing with documentation. She comments that at first she had not planned to start a conversation because she had been listening to K-pop on her headphones. In addition to the fact that she observed how the woman sobbed and tried to wipe her tears with her shoulders. A few minutes later, and unexpectedly, the bus driver slammed on the brake, causing several sheets to fly out of the woman's box. And Kishan, realizing she picked them up to hand them over, accidentally and unconsciously looks at one of them and observes some graphic statistics that have as a title, Gender Pay Gap, which immediately catches the attention of Ki, who returns the sheets to the woman and introduces herself appropriately. to which the woman gratefully agrees and lets her know her name. Yi-woo Otsutsuki. Ki says that a little anxious and curious, she asks her, where did she get that information? That she is studying journalism and that she plans to do her university thesis based on the labor inequality that exists between men and women, to which Yi-woo responds with a clever joke. Your Yerye Korean custom of prayers has paid off to you. Your ancestors have guided me to you. Ki, she states in her article that a moment she realized that both were related to the same purpose. Ki, more intrigued, still responds, how is that? What do you do? To which Yi-woo responds, I am also a journalist, and until today I work in the local newspaper ASKT Telecom. I also told her that she had been fired because, speaking with her boss, she told him that she had been carrying out an investigation the 8 years she had been working on the newspapers about the gender pay gap that exists in the country, and that she wanted him to review it to see if there was any possibility of publishing it. Since she started in the newspapers, they had never allowed her to publish anything, since the role she had to fulfill was the spelling editor. Even having the same professional level as her peers, Yi-woo comments that right after making the request known to his boss, he was enraged, and speaking in a strong tone, he replied, this is not your job here. For what we pay you, and you shouldn't spend your working time doing something that you didn't have permission to do it. Until today you work as AKT. That's why we don't have any more women journalists. Then Ki tells us that while the bus passed by Ayeon-dong, Yi-woo tells her that she must go down because she is so close to reaching her destination. She also shows her concern with her new reality and all that entails. At this moment, Ki also gives us to understand that Yi-woo shows her the relevance of her employment in substance and life family. In addition to the great sense of condolence that she feels when hearing everything that Yi-woo just went through. However, Ki-chan, quite eager to learn more about Yi-woo's investigation, she makes sure to encourage her as much as possible and schedule a meeting to exchange ideas, to which Yi-woo calmly agrees. Chapter 2. In the article, Kim manifests that a week after meeting Yi-woo, they met to meet in a cafe somewhere in Mapoku. That day, Ki-chan tells us that when Yi-woo arrived, she felt sad and bored. When sitting with her, Ki asked, how are you doing, Yi-woo? How did your husband take the news of your dismissal? Did you tell him? To which Yi-woo responds, between tears, and you cut off, Sue, left me, and he would take my daughter. She told me that she was an irresponsible person and that I should not have risked my job and financial support for a whom that I had. I did not think that this project that I did for so many years and with so much effort, sacrifice, and love was going to generate so many negative things for me. Ki-chan could not be more stunned after such an outcome. She couldn't stop expressing her bad feelings for everything that Jiwoo was going through. She also tries to make her way of thinking understand. It is not your fault, but the fault of the predominant national culture. Ki tells her, they see us as women and they don't perceive it as a problem since they don't affect them. G, this is just a motivator to let the country know that the investigation you have in your hand is reality. A reality that in some way could help all the working women in Korea to take a step forward towards the change of this so patriarchal society in which we live. Clothes Kishang. Then she tells us how satisfying it was to see Jiwoo's sadness vanish with a smile. Jiwoo, upon hearing Ki's words, ends up highly motivated. In fact, Ki tells us that she herself offers the organization of more appointments and meetings to determine the best way to expose all the information she has and to be able to help more women in similar situations. Chapter 3. After a number of meetings and outings together, reviewing the research that Jiwoo had carried out, both come to the conclusion that founding a non-governmental organization, NGO, with the purpose of helping women protect and fulfill their labor rights, in addition to fight to reduce or eradicate the wage gap that exists between men and women to fulfill the same job roles, since this could be the correct path according to their objectives. A month after arriving from conceiving the NGO Fundamental Women, they draw the first objective of it, which will be nothing more and nothing less than to help Jiwoo to successfully carry out a legal process against his company for labor abuse and dismissal without just cause. Excellent program. Thank you very much to the participants for listening and to the group involved in producing this new podcast. And truly shocking plot compared to what women in the country of South Korea experience and how every day they fight for equality. Happy day, and we are waiting for you in a new chapter.